what's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about the British territory of Gibraltar. You know, I don't claim to know much about British geography, but even I did not expect to discover today that if you start at the United Kingdom here on a map and you scroll down a little more, and you go all the way to Spain, there's a British territory on the southern tip of Spain. Who has been keeping this a secret? Or is it just us Americans who don't know this kind of stuff? Either way, I feel like I've been left out on a secret British territory that's just popped up on the southern tip of Spain. This is very random to me, but also very interesting. And I'm sure there's a very interesting history and explanation behind this. If you go on Wikipedia, you see that this is a British overseas territory, which I'd never even heard of that really before. There's apparently 14 of these. I'm learning a lot about British geography today. They do not form part of the United Kingdom. The permanently inhabited territory are self-governing, with the UK retaining responsibility for defense and foreign relations. So they're kind of their own sovereign kind of entity existing on their own, but at the same time, sounds like these territories have a pretty strong, meaningful connection back to the UK as well. If you look up a picture of the place, Gibraltar, which by the way, I have heard the name Gibraltar. You know, at least there's that. I just never knew where it was or what it was or what any kind of picture in my mind of the meaning behind Gibraltar. I just knew it as a name. And I feel like I'm finally addressing this word I've heard of, Gibraltar. And the Rock of Gibraltar, I've heard of that. It looks quite lovely, actually. When you look up a photo of the place, it's quite nice. It's on the southern tip of Spain. Looks very beautiful. And I have a little video here that's literally just gonna teach me why does Britain own Gibraltar? Very, very strange situation from what I can tell, that Britain, all the way to the north, literally owns a territory in southern Spain. I still can't get over that, but let's take a look at why is this?
The Iberian Peninsula is home to the lands of 5 countries. Andorra and France in the north, Portugal in the west, with Spain dominating the rest.
Okay.
Well, most of the rest, since country number 5, which sits in this tiny area in the south, is the United Kingdom. This
Is this considered its own country? Or, you know, the terminology that they're using here already, saying this is the United Kingdom, right there, and oh my gosh, look how tiny it is. That's hilarious. Compared to Spain and all the surrounding countries, just this itty tiny bitty piece of the UK, right there. Wow.
This territory is called Gibraltar, and despite numerous wars between the United Kingdom and Spain, Britain still holds the territory, which raises the obvious question.
So this is not a pleasant story, necessarily. There have been wars waged over this territory. I mean, it makes sense that Spain would probably see that piece of land as part of Spain, but apparently not, because it's not part of Spain. Or maybe there's conflict over this Gibraltar to this day, I don't know.
Wars between the United Kingdom and Spain, Britain still holds the territory, which raises the obvious question. Why? Why does Britain own Gibraltar?
Yeah.
So the first part of this...
And who? Who lives here? Who lives in Gibraltar? Any people from Spain or people from the UK? No, you wouldn't really think people, maybe people further back in history that immigrated to Gibraltar, as a British territory, back in time, or I don't know. Who lives in Gibraltar right now?
Question is, how did Britain get a hold of Gibraltar in the first place?
Yeah.
Well, the answer to that is simple. In the year 1700, the King of Spain died. Now, normally, a king dying wouldn't be a problem, but this king, Charles II, didn't have any kids, which of course meant succession crisis. Charles chose Philippe of the House of Bourbon and grandson of Louis XIV of France to succeed him. This upset mostly everyone since it placed Spain and its gargantuan empire firmly in the French sphere of influence, and so, of course, war. Everyone united.
So, somehow all this stuff all relates back to some kind of king or monarch just literally wanting to take over a certain place, and it's like not much deeper than that. So the king of Spain died, which kind of left an opening or an opportunity, you could say, for Britain to try to conquer this little place, Spain, and this little territory.
Against Spain and France, and in 1704 English and Dutch soldiers landed in Gibraltar and seized it to keep the mouth of the Mediterranean open.
Oh, it's more... This makes sense, actually, when you think about it like that. Tactically, you gotta think a little strategically here. It's deeper than just wanting to take over any land. Gibraltar, specifically, you can see on this map, is at the mouth of this opening. It's like a very strategic point of controlling this strait of water.
English and Dutch soldiers landed in Gibraltar and seized it to keep the mouth of the Mediterranean open.
The mouth of the Mediterranean. Okay, it's a good thing this narrator is helping me out here, because goodness knows I don't know what everything is called here, geographically speaking. And I'm ashamed to admit it, but I'll admit it.
In 1713, in return for Britain leaving the war immediately, Spain opted to cede Gibraltar to them forever. Gibraltar's original population had largely fled during the war, and it was stationed by British troops, and from then on acted as an important naval base whose population grew thereafter.
Wow, so Spain eventually, gave up Gibraltar after war and conflict. And all the, Spanish people living there, hightailed it out of there. And so then it became British, and then... the narrator kind of said something about British people actually going and living there, too.
Stationed by British troops, and from then on acted as an important naval base whose population grew thereafter. So Britain now owned Gibraltar, but what stopped Spain from regaining it? It was a tiny stretch of land attached to the Spanish mainland, so surely it would have been simple to walk in and take it.
Yeah, oh my gosh, when you think about this, look how tiny Gibraltar is. It's literally surrounded on all sides by Spain. Why didn't Spain just take it back? How could Britain maintain control over it so far away from the UK?
Well, turns out, no. It wasn't long until Spain and Britain were back at war again, and despite laying siege to Gibraltar a further 2 times over the next 75 years, it always held out.
How? I don't think they're going to go into detail, unfortunately, but how did the British defend Gibraltar? I guess Gibraltar is, surrounded by water on most of its sides, actually, which actually would make it a bit easier to defend. It actually has a very narrow point that you can attack it from on land. That must have something to do with it, because it seems unbelievable that Britain maintained control of this.
The largest siege came during the American War for Independence, when Britain's attention was focused on those rascals. Spain, with the help of the French, laid siege to Gibraltar for 4 years, hoping to starve the people out.
Wow.
However, the British were able to resupply Gibraltar due to the size of their navy and Spain's issues maintaining its own.
Wow.
As you'll know, Britain lost the war as a whole, and so when both sides sat down to negotiate, why didn't Spain use the opportunity to regain Gibraltar?
Yeah.
1, Britain hadn't been conquered or crushed and could still fight, meaning Spain couldn't get everything it wanted, and 2, it had more important land to regain, notably Florida and also Minorca, both of which it got.
Spain had bigger fish to fry. Spain had more important stuff to take care of. It's just so crazy how Gibraltar literally, it's on Spain. It is right there on Spain. Right in there. And also, I guess this is a testament to, the British military power and ship power. The British were just able to defend this little piece of land over and over and over again. Spain wanted it back. No, in no uncertain terms, Spain wanted it back, but couldn't get it.
When all of that was over in 1783, Spain never made another military attempt to retake the rock. So that's it all settled there.
Eventually, Spain was just forget it. I don't care anymore. Whatever. Take it. Take Gibraltar. I don't know if that's how it actually is to this day, but it's how it comes across, kinda. Just whatever, it's yours.
then, right? Well, no. The Spanish government always maintained a claim to Gibraltar, much of which was down to its geographic positioning at the mouth of the Mediterranean, and also because its continued loss was seen as a blight on Spain's national honour. For the next century and a
Why? Is this strange to say, but I guess this has been a territory of Britain for so long. The British kind of see Gibraltar as belonging to, as like a territory of Britain. But would Britain ever, like, just give it back? Ever be like, you know what, Spain, you can have Gibraltar back? Or is it just kind of found a happy medium, like, as is, and it's not really going to change?
half, though, very little changed with respect to Gibraltar. That was until 1936, when the Spanish Civil War broke out. The border was closed, mostly because of there being too many refugees trying to flee Spain, and Britain further built up Gibraltar's defences.
This is so crazy, like imagining, who are the British people living in Gibraltar? That's what I want to know. What a fascinating place to live. As a British citizen, I guess. If you're in Gibraltar, are you a British citizen?
This caused disputes with Spanish leadership, since previously there had been an agreed neutral zone between the two areas. However, Spain wasn't looking, and so Britain quickly built up an airfield there, which became useful when World War II broke out. Now, Spain's new leader, Francisco Franco, was clear that he wanted Gibraltar back. However, when he was offered the chance to get it back by joining the Axis in World War II with Germany, he declined. Franco said no because the positives didn't outweigh the negatives, and
So even in, like, sort of modern history, getting pretty close to modern day, Spain has always wanted Gibraltar back, just not able to get it back.
Also, his country was in ruins. In the post-war world, there was a big drive towards decolonisation, and Gibraltar was firmly in the crosshairs of this movement. A referendum was held in Gibraltar to determine whether the people wished to be a part of Spain or remain an overseas territory of the United Kingdom.
Oh, there was like a vote? A referendum? Like they asked the people of Gibraltar, straight up, do you want to be part of like a British territory, or do you want to be part of Spain? So, I'm at this point in time, it's been a British territory for so long, though. Maybe I answered my own question. Maybe that's why it never really went back to being part of Spain.
And the results were extremely close, with over 99% of people opting to remain under the control of the United Kingdom.
The results were extremely close. Very close race. 99% of the inhabitants of Gibraltar voted for it to stay under as a territory of the UK. Interesting. I mean, I'm actually glad they went into this, because that gives a little clarity over what the actual inhabitants of Gibraltar want for Gibraltar.
When Franco caught a mild case of death and his regime came to an end, relations between Britain and Spain improved, and after a series of negotiations, the border reopened. And despite the continuing dispute over the status of Gibraltar, there would be no further changes in its status, and to this day it remains a British overseas territory.
No kidding. So the relationship has just gotten a bit friendlier. Like, Gibraltar was an annoying zit, an annoying pimple on Spain's back. Spain just wanting it to get it back, or I don't know if this analogy really works, but eventually Spain and Gibraltar finally kind of became peaceful. They opened the border back up. It became as friendly a relationship as you can have, being a literal part of Spain that was taken away 300 years ago.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you for watching.
Wow, I did enjoy that. That was surprisingly fascinating. That video was by History Matters, and I gotta give that a like, because that was very, very interesting. Like I was saying, as funny as it sounds, I just kind of randomly stumbled upon this. There we go. Pull up a little picture of Gibraltar there. I just kind of randomly stumbled on this topic in this video of why does Britain own Gibraltar? And I was like, what is Gibraltar? I've heard of that. Apparently as a rock of Gibraltar, it controls like the opening to the Mediterranean Sea. It's an important place strategically. And I had no idea what a controversial and kind of convoluted history it has. It's not even that complicated of a history. Britain, like way back in the day, got control of it because it was strategic, and that never changed. And Spain seemed to, I'm not sure if Spain ever really, like, got over that or has accepted it, but it seems like it's kind of found a neutral point. At this point, the people living in Gibraltar, like, have been living there for 300 years, their descendants. It's a pretty long time. So take that for what you will. This is a British overseas territory. Never knew about this. Never knew about this. They did not teach this kind of stuff in our little American geography classes growing up. So I still get a lot of pleasure out of learning new little things like this, especially about the UK, and literally a part of the UK I didn't know existed. So I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment, perhaps with your thoughts on Gibraltar and its history and relationship to the UK. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to the UK and UK culture, stuff about the UK I've never learned before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.